Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we'll be reviewing tips for the removal and replacement of the MAFS airflow sensor on this 2024 Hyundai Elantra with the 2.0 liter engine. If you find my tips to be helpful, please like, subscribe, and comment. Now let's get started. The MAFS airflow sensor is located at the center of your screen near the tip of my pointer. Symptoms associated with a faulty MAFS airflow sensor include hard crank, no start, and engine speed surges at idle. You also have a check engine light with trouble codes P1101, P1103, and P1104. So you might ask, what does this part do? It measures the amount of air entering the engine, which helps to calculate the correct air-fuel ratio. Our supply list includes a 10mm socket, a ratchet with an extension, and you'll need a very small flat tip screwdriver. You'll also need MAFS airflow sensor cleaner, and you may need a new air filter. Please see other items in the description below. So let's go ahead and move forward with the removal and replacement of the MAFS airflow sensor. So I used a very small flat tip screwdriver to lift up and pull back on the lock so that it's unlocked, and then you can squeeze and remove the connector. Okay? Loosen up this bolt right here. Okay? Releasing these holding clamps. 1, 2, in the upward position. So this is loose, this is loose, this is loose. So now you can lift up, turn, and there you have it. So that's the entire housing. So now we can separate the MAFS airflow sensor from the housing. And so there's two 10mm bolts, and we're just going to quickly remove them. Okay, once those bolts are removed, wiggle, and there you have it. You can set the filter box out of the way. And here is your MAFS airflow sensor. Unlike other sensors, this blade, what I call the blade, cannot be removed from this housing. Okay, it's built onto it. You see there's no screws here. All right, so let's just go ahead and inspect this thing. You'll see that the electrical connectors are nice and straight. So that's a good thing. Here is the O-ring, and you can see if you look at the O-ring all the way around that it's black, and that's indicating that it's making contact with the housing all the way around, so you'll want to see that. Okay? There's no obstructions here, no heavy debris. And this looks in pretty good shape. If this was throwing a code, what I recommend that you do is first check the air filter. And so here's the air filter right here. And this is the air filter. You could see there's a lot of debris in here. This is not the worst I've ever seen, but you know, it could be better. If you wanted to quickly get 70 to 80% of these large debris off, only thing you'd have to do is just turn this over and drop it on the ground maybe 5 times, and you'll see a lot of dirt just come out of here. And that's a nice trick that you could use, say if you're on a dusty road and out in the middle of nowhere and your check engine light comes on and you're like, hey, the car's been working fine for a month, a year, never had any problems. I went through this dust storm and now the light comes on. What's happened here is your filter got filled up with very fine particles of dust, and that triggered a check engine light. So once you get out of the dusty environment, pull over to the side of the road, open your filter housing, and drop this filter on the ground, say 5 times, and you'll see 80 to 90% of the dust that just got pulled into the filter, it'll come out. Now, all of it's not going to come out, but what it'll do is allow your vehicle to breathe a whole heck of a lot better and well enough until you can get to a place where you can replace the filter. Okay, because if you have those very fine particles of dust in your filter, 20% of them are never going to come out. Okay, and that's going to really decrease your fuel mileage. This is a air breathing, fuel burning machine. And without the air, you're going to greatly reduce your fuel mileage, okay? Enough on the filter. So let's pretend that this filter is brand new. I'll deal with it later. Put it back in. So let's just say we've replaced the filter. I would drive the vehicle maybe 30 or 40 miles and see if the check engine light goes off by itself. If the check engine light stays on and it's still throwing the same exact code, I know this is a little work, guys, but you know, this is what you have to do when you're a DIYer. Come back here, do the same process. This time, use your M.A.F.S airflow sensor cleaner. You want to get in here and spray this thing really good and focusing on the holes and crevices within the blade itself. Okay? And come in on both sides. Give it a good spraying. It'll dry in about a minute, and then simply reinstall it. At this time, we're going to get this installed back in the filter housing and get this video moving forward. So it only goes on one way. Okay, on my screws. Get the screws started. This has to be snug. Like that. Okay, next we're going to go ahead, stick this into that rubber hose. There's a little notch here. You want to line this notch up. Okay, I'd go ahead and lock down the box right now. So there's 2 holes in the lower portion of the box housing. And what you need to do is there's 2 tips sticking out of the cover, one on that side and one on that side. And so you need to lock those tips into those holes. Okay? Lift up on it. Here we go. Once they're in, now you lock these clamps, 1, and push this one down, 2. Now the filter box is locked. Shake it to make sure that it's locked in place. Next thing we're going to do is tighten down this hose clamp. Doesn't need to be too tight. If it starts to bulge here too much, you can loosen it up, and that looks like that's a little bit too tight. Just back it off a little bit. It shouldn't bulge. All right. Okay, that's tight. And lastly, we're going to go ahead and reinstall our electrical connector. Take a look at the gasket. The gasket's not deformed. Slide the connector in place. Listen for the click. Lock it down. And there you have it. Well, folks, that wraps up this video on the removal and replacement of the M.A.F.S airflow sensor on this 2024 Hyundai Elantra with a 2.0 liter engine. I hope you found my tips to be helpful. Please like and subscribe. And until next time, Drive defensively.